So right now I have two of my good friends on a Zoom call right now, and we're going to talk just a little bit. So Brenda Venegas is on here with us, and she is the senior program director at Common Good, which is a ministry that my wife and I started many years ago, and it's grown so much since then, and it's really awesome to see all the folks that are working for Common Good now. So Brenda's on the call, and then Noranne is also on the call, and Noranne is the elementary program director at Common Good. And so she is responsible for all the little ones and just caring for them and making sure that they're having an awesome experience at our programs that we have at Common Good. And so I wanted to touch base with them today because Embrace cares deeply for Common Good. All the Common Good space is donated by our church. So Common Good exists in the basement of Embrace. And we have lots of rooms down there, tons of kids, over 70 kids in our programs, 4 days a week throughout the entire year. And so Embrace, we love Common Good, we care deeply for it. And so we wanted to check in today just to see how things are going and how things have changed in this time of the coronavirus and with cancellations and all the different things that are happening. So I'm gonna start by just asking you a question, Brenda. And basically, can you tell us a little bit about how things have changed and what Common Good looks like right now and kind of what your all's work looks like and kind of how things have had to shift?
Yeah, so Life at Common Good has shifted a lot. Since school got canceled like mid-March, we haven't seen our students for a month now. So we went from daily seeing our students to not seeing them on a daily basis. Like, we have contacted some of them and talked to them over the phone, but that's not the same as like being able to be there with them in person. And our biggest shift really has been like we are a development program that has helped our students and families through education, spiritual formation, recreation, and leadership development. And now we have shifted to doing relief work on top of our other work, and that's been a huge shift for our staff. Like, we are not like, that's not what we typically do, and so I'm not like, I've never done casework. I've never done relief work. So like, that's a shift of like our skills that we normally have been doing to helping provide needs that our families have. So that's a huge shift for all of our staff, is going from development work to doing relief work, like helping provide needs that they have. And we're still in the process of planning how to help them, continuing to help them with providing needs, but also like thinking of like maybe helping them with like their finances, like rent, utilities, because maybe like that's a reality that we might do or we will do. And so we're still in the process and planning of that, and that's a huge shift for us.
Yeah, and I can imagine that doing development work is really hard when you can't be with people and you can't have students in your building and you can't mentor them and kind of walk with them. And so, yeah, I imagine that is a huge shift to go from kind of development, long-term investment, leadership development, that kind of thing, to now having to think, how can we just help meet immediate needs that our families are having? And like you said, you're not used to being a caseworker and kind of coming alongside people with kind of all these immediate needs that they may have. But it's pretty awesome that you guys have been willing to jump in and figure it out. So Noranne, I was interested to hear from you a little bit. Maybe you could say a little bit about what some of the needs the families have are right now, and then what you guys are doing, as an organization, as individuals, to try to meet some of those needs.
Okay. First, I want to say that we check in on our families weekly to kind of talk to them to see what needs they have. And so we check in on them. We ask, how are they doing emotionally during this crisis, during this situation? We ask how the students are doing emotionally, being trapped in the house and not able to play outside in the playground with their friends. And so after we, talk to them and check on them and see what those needs are, we then create a plan to see how we're going to meet those needs. So for example, if a family says that they have a physical need where they need toilet paper or paper towels, we create a list and we go shopping for that need. And then we deliver those needs to the family. Doing that, we do abide by the safety precautions that the governor has suggested. So Brenda makes sure that all staff members have masks, have gloves, have sanitized wipes to make sure that we're safe when we're in the stores shopping for their families. But also when we deliver to the families the needs that they have, we make sure that we keep 6 feet of distance from them. We drop the items at their front door. We don't go inside. We don't do like a normal home visit. So that has changed a little bit. Some families have said they need help with tutoring services for their students. And so right now we're in the process of having all lead mentors provide online tutoring services for their students. And in addition to that, contacting our students directly, whether it's through phone calls or through video chats, to kind of do an activity with our students, whether it's reading a book or a scavenger hunt in the home, so that we can continue to build those relationships, not only with the families, but with the students. We also ask families if they have any prayer requests, because some families have expressed the need of prayer during this time. And so we write down all those prayer requests and send those in so they can be prayed for. And that's pretty much everything that we're doing as far as caring for the families.
Yeah, well, I think that's awesome that y'all are willing to do that. You know, I know that Common Good has been described kind of like a second family. And when people in the family are struggling, it's good to know that you've got other people there to come alongside. And so I know that you guys, your kind of consistent, non-anxious presence with these families is probably providing a lot of support for them, just knowing that like they're not alone, knowing that you guys are there, you know. And I know a lot of the families come from other places and other countries even, and so to know that there's like this community around them is awesome and powerful. So I think that what you're doing is very essential and very important during this time. So I just want to say thanks to you guys for doing that. I know it's probably really hard to not have the kids there, because I'm sure you're missing them like crazy. You know, I know both of you personally, you're good friends of mine, so I know that y'all have deep faiths and you really, you know, you have a relationship with God. And so I'm interested to know, particularly as a pastor, you know, like how you're experiencing God through all this, and have you seen God at work, you know, through your job or through your personal life, kind of through this experience. So Brenda, why don't you share first? And
yeah, I mean, like, I feel like, and when there's like a lot of like situations where there's an unknown, you know, like this pandemic, nobody really expected this, like nobody was prepared for this. Like I for certain was like not prepared for something like this. And so it's easy to be like, oh, like where's God? I think like my deep faith in him has like, I've seen like it's been highlighted more of like just seeing him through our staff's commitment to helping provide our support to our families and students, and checking in on them emotionally, mentally. I've seen our staff's commitment to it, like they're unwavering. Even if we have anxieties of like our health, like we're able to like just trust God and be like, oh, he's gonna provide for us as we help provide for our students. And I just see that. And even though our families are experiencing a lot of challenges, like I see God through the work of Common Good and the willingness to help provide support to them, whether it be meeting their immediate needs, checking in on them about tutoring, about their emotional health, checking in our students. I see God's presence among each of the staff to helping provide comfort to our families and to each other. And that's how I've seen God at work and experience him. And like, so yeah, I've seen him, his work through us and through our staff. And even in our families, like they reach out to us and like, they're like, oh, I'm praying for you all, that you're healthy and that you're safe as well. And that's just like a, what's the word? Great. That's like grace right there from our families, and how they're also thinking of us and like sending us prayers and our support, and even volunteers who have reached out to me personally being like, hey, we're praying for common good, we're praying for the staff. And I think that's God's work and how I see him, that he's thinking like he's working through other people who are supporting us, and even our donors who have stepped up and be like, hey, how can we help common good, and their commitment to donating to us to help provide for our family's needs. So I see God working through each of us who are pitching to be a community, even if we're not able to see each other physically, like even virtually, or through text and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I hear you saying that in this season, things are very uncertain and crazy and not very consistent, but you've seen this like consistent love and commitment through the staff, through the families, through the donors, through the volunteers, and Common Good is this big, crazy, wonderful family of people who have committed themselves to one another through the ups and the downs, and that's a way to experience God and see God through other people, and through the love that other people. I know Jason, who's also on staff, shared a similar thing recently, that he's seen God's consistency and stability through you guys and through the staff and your all's commitment, and say, we're going to do this, even though it is scary, and in some ways you put yourself at a little bit of risk by going to the store even, it's like, but you're willing to do that because that, it's the right thing to do. It's what we do when we go through hard times. We take care of one another, so families ought to do. So no, it's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Noranne, what are your thoughts?
I feel like I experienced God these past few weeks and Common Good, like through the love and kindness that we share between Common Good families and staff. And so like that not, lessening or not displaying as much as if it would have when we see face to face, I noticed that it's actually grown. And through God's work and God's love, that's what makes that possible. And so the families being comfortable with addressing some of their needs to us is much also God's work, because during this situation where families and parents have been the sole provider in their family, this is something that's different and new for them. And so it takes a lot of courage, a lot of love and respect from them to actually say, hey, I have this need and I'm going to accept, the fact that you're a part of my family and I can ask you for help when I need it. And so I think I also experienced like God in those moments of our families being vulnerable with us, because it's very difficult to be vulnerable in life. And so I love that. And I'm grateful that God is showing work in that sense of vulnerability that our families have with us as a staff. I also see God's work through connectedness and sense of belonging that continues to grow. And so where we have, families that are praying for us when we drop off food items or pantry items or cleaning supplies to our families, just them being grateful that we are out on the front lines and we're in the stores and we're shopping for them. Some of the supplies that they went to the stores and wasn't able to find, like God has helped us make those, several trips to 5 different stores in order to find the supplies that's even hard for them to find themselves. And also from our volunteers, whether it's donors or it's volunteer mentors that just, call us and be like, hey, I have some canned goods, or I found a roll of toilet paper. Does any family need it? And them just being able to drop those items off to us, that helps us meet the needs of our family. And so I feel like even though we're not able to physically hug each other and be around each other like we normally would during program, God's work in making sure that we stay connected and we still help one another and care for one another as a family of God's children is really growing. It's not lessening or like decreasing because of the social distancing. Like we're still connected together. And so I see God's work through that connectedness.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. How long have each of you been working at Common Good now?
I've been working since August of 2016, so it's about to be 4 years.
Nice.
And I'm
All
a
right.
year behind, August 2017.
Yeah. So, I mean, I asked that because I like the trust that you're talking about, Noranne, that their families are willing to be vulnerable and open up and share, because that takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to say, hey, I need help with this. But I think a lot of that trust has been built over many years, and that long-term investment that you guys have had, and the vulnerability and courage you all have shown to be real and be yourself with the parents has really paid off. And and yeah, like I just love the image of family, and just that like we're all in, that people say we're all in this together, but I think that what you guys are seeing is it playing out in real life, that truly everybody is in this together, and we can get through this together. And I love the hope that you talk about, Noranne, that like through this things are different and weird, but I believe after it, we're going to feel even closer to one another, because of the ways that we've kind of fought to keep these relationships strong and going through this isolation that we've had. So anything else y'all want to share? Are we good?
We're good.
All right, we're good. Thank y'all so much for doing this and being willing to talk with me a little bit, and just know that the Embrace community and the Embrace family loves you guys. And I know, Noranne, you come here on Sundays. Brenda, you got another church, but you're still part of our family too. And Common Good is part of the Embrace family, and vice versa. And so we love you guys and support y'all, and just thankful for the work that you're doing. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your support of Common Good. We really appreciate it, and we're grateful.